Welcome to Penalty Box Radio Live, presented by Salas Realty Group. Salas Realty Group, your premier destination for Nashville, Tennessee real estate. I'm your host, Sean Smith. Joining me tonight, Alex Doherty of the Tennessean. Alex, how you doing?
I'm great. Glad to be here. First time as a guest.
Nice to have you on as a guest today.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a lot to talk about, Alex.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to cover. This is a busy time of the year.
It's been a whirlwind. Actually, since our last show, immediately after our last show. Well, after the pregame show and the pre-pregame show.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
After, before, pre, post, whatever. It doesn't matter. Right after we got off the air, the Predators went on and kept their road trip win streak going with a big win against Los Angeles, and then continued on to close the road trip out with the franchise first 5-game road trip win streak, and followed it up last night with a big win at home. Alex, trade rumors are forming and swirling as the deadline looms. Barry Trotz is playing coy with the media, and the playoffs, Alex, are back in play. All of that coming up on Penalty Box Radio Live, plus some very exciting news about a new sponsor for our main event 3-on-3 draft at the end of the show. And if you're paying attention, you may have already figured out who it is. We're going to start off, Alex, with our puck drop topic. And, there's been a history on the show of Alex trying to catch me slipping or something. I'm not sure what happened. He's always got some kind of clever answer after he makes me answer the question first. So I'm not going to do it to him.
All right.
This is a fair question. So, Alex, puck drop. Let's get right into it. Which was worse? The Predators' first period against Dallas during their last home game before the road trip, or the Ottawa Senators' third period against the Nashville Predators last night?
I think the Predators' first period against the Dallas Stars was worse because, number one, the game wasn't in doubt yet technically.
Okay.
And two, I think Dallas scored, 3 goals that period, and then Predators only gave up, and the Senators only gave up 2, I guess.
So I'll give you the stats. The Preds had 4 goals against in that first period.
4. Wow. Gosh.
4 goals against. Against
one shot, 4.
One shot on goal. 4 against Saros, and then the Senators, like you said, they only had 1 goal against in the third last night, and of course 0 shots. But I mean, 0 shots, 1 shot. Does it really matter?
No, well, I mean, we're splitting hairs. They're both awful. So but that was an impressive third period though by the Preds last night.
So just as impressive of a third period, right? Defensively, I suppose, as the first period was offensively for the Dallas Stars. Right?
Yeah, I think they're pretty close. I think they're pretty similar in terms of bad and good for the opposing teams. But what I thought was funny was that some of the players, some of the Predators players, didn't realize that the Ottawa didn't even have a shot in that period.
I don't think any of them realized it. I think once it had been brought to their attention, they were aware. But I think it was something that, in the course of the third period, they were not actively aware. With 2 minutes of guys, we haven't allowed a single shot. Let's keep it going. It was just really no shots at all. Yeah,
they were just focused on playing hard.
Well, that's what
They've been too focused on their vacations recently, and so they're trying to focus on playing winning hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting when you get to think about vacations.
They can't worry about how many shots the other team has. They can only worry about themselves.
And I'll say, we just heard Smashville Live.
And we did.
And I will say that as of probably 7:04, neither Michael McCarron nor Dante Fabro are at the Pitbull concert tonight.
There's a Pitbull concert tonight? I'm not in that scene.
You were at the same game I was at last night.
I don't pay attention to that.
Talked about it nonstop. They came by. They're like, Alex, make sure you talk about
I didn't know it was
Pitbull.
tonight.
It was tonight, and it was really everybody was really excited about Mr. Worldwide. Do you know who that is?
That's
what they call Pitbull, Alex.
I do understand who that is.
So, okay. But here's the thing. Look, they're not they weren't planning on going. It's not like this was a big reward to go to the Pitbull show. It's just there's one there, and they're like, you know what? We're focused on hockey, not on concerts, not on Mr. Worldwide. We're focused on something else. You know what that is, Alex?
What's that?
The Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
They're focused on the Stanley Cup. That's their main thing. So, look, I agree with you, of course, on the puck drop topic. But just let's do a quick recap of the past week. Of course, like we said, they played the Kings right after our last show. 4-1 win on the road. Then they played San Jose, 4-2 win. There's a theme here. And then they played in Anaheim, 4-2 win in Anaheim. And then, believe it or not, last night, like we just talked about, 4-1 win at home against Ottawa, making it 6 in a row. That's a pretty good win streak.
6 in a row, four goals in each game.
Yeah. Well, not some of the ones before that had 5.
Yeah.
But still, I was curious. I don't know if you think about this. So, do you know the last time the Predators had a 6-game win streak?
It was earlier this season.
That's correct.
It was in November, and I do know this because I wrote about it for the Tennessean, actually.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there was a 6-game win streak earlier in the year. It was in late November, and it ended. Did you know this? Do you know who ended that streak?
No.
John Hines and the Minnesota Wild.
Oh my goodness!
And who
me.
did the Predators play tomorrow night? John
Hines
and the Minnesota
Wild. Now it's interesting, and
history repeat itself.
I had to look this up because I just didn't know, right? And I'm not embarrassed to say I didn't know. Lots of 6-game win streaks in the Predators' history, but getting past 6 seems to be the challenge. They've had 2 7-game win streaks.
Is this how far back did you go for this?
All the way.
Like history of the franchise?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Oh, 2 7-game win streaks, 1 8-game win streak.
Oh, okay. I thought you were starting with okay.
No.
Continue.
And then 1 10-game win streak. Do you remember when that one was?
That was that the good Hines year? The good year of John Hines that everyone likes to forget about conveniently, or no?
No, that was the year they got 7.
Oh, okay.
That year.
Okay.
No, this was the President's Trophy year.
Oh, right, of course.
Went on a 10-game stretch there. Pretty exciting, and something that I think we've talked about. I think a lot of people talked about when the Predators were not on a 6-game win streak was that the vast majority of this team's scoring was coming from a very, very small percentage of the team, looking mainly at the top line.
Yeah.
And then, a little bit from Roman Josi. At least he was involved in the scoring, even if he wasn't scoring all the goals. He was getting assists, right? Mm-hmm. But we're talking about you would go for weeks at a time, no goals be on the first line. Maybe not weeks at a time, but it seemed like it. You're like, well, who's going to score a goal tonight? Philip Forsberg. Mm-hmm. Oh, Nyquist got a goal. And then the next night it'd be O'Reilly. And then later in the week it might be one of the other two or something, and it would just pop up. But now the big thing that we saw on this road trip, you know what I'm going to say, right?
Depth scoring.
Depth scoring, Alex. Yeah. Depth scoring.
That was a big part of it. And I think I figured out that there were 15 different goal scorers total.
Yeah, that is correct.
And over the course of the 5 game, I guess if there wasn't anyone new that scored last night, I don't think. But yeah, the depth scoring was huge, and you still had contributions from the top line. Of course, Forsberg had a few, Nyquist had a few, but I mean, you had goals even from Luke Schenn.
Yeah, Luke Schenn got on the board in
that
look
streak.
At this. And I'm just talking about the road trip, just about the 5-game road trip where they won all 5 games. That was a franchise first. I don't know if you knew that or not. Keep mentioning that. It's exciting. 22 goals on the road trip.
Okay.
Right? Like you said, 15 different goal scorers. That is correct. 8 of those 22 goals came from, I would say, your top 4 that you would expect to see, the top line plus Roman Josi. But out of those 8 goals, 4 of them were empty net goals.
Right. There were quite a few of those.
Which is interesting. However, of the other 14 goals, which all came from what we're going to call the depth, only 2 empty net goals.
Yeah, and empty netters are, obviously only certain kind of players are going to get them because they're only out there in an empty net situation. So you're going to have, the empty netters are really just random noise, right? I mean, you can't really tell anything about that, but what you can tell is if you're getting a lot of empty netters, you're winning a lot of games.
Well, that too, but I'm bringing up the number of empty net goals because you might say, well, who got the empty net goal? How many of those 14 goals from the depth were empty netters? Well, just 2. The other 12 were legitimate we're going to put a goal past your goalie or put a puck past your goalie and score a goal. We're going to get things done the old-fashioned way, not wait till the end of the game and cherry pick, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But that to me, that tells you that the depth is not just stepping up to contribute, but they're doing it in a major way.
Yeah, that's been a big part of it. I mean, the goaltending has been big. We probably should bring up the fact that not all of these opponents are good opponents. I mean, certainly beating Vegas and Los Angeles is something to be proud of if you're the Predators, but San Jose and Anaheim, not as much, and maybe not even St. Louis. And then last night was Ottawa. So we have to consider, out of these 6 wins, 4 bad ones? At least 3 bad ones.
Bad teams?
Out of these 6 teams that they beat.
Wins against kind of bad teams.
I would agree with that. I don't know. I think at this point you just need the wins. And I think about this too, is that at the end of the day, whether it's an empty net goal or a goal that goes past the goaltender, they all count the same at the end of the season, and so do the wins. It doesn't matter, but you've got to rip those wins off of those teams that you should beat. But the bigger thing is what has this done to what this team is how this team is gonna attack the next couple weeks? Because if they don't go on a 5-game win streak and then now make it a 6-game win streak, they don't sit in the same position with regards to the trade deadline, which is now 8 days away, 9 days away.
Right. I mean, you're looking at quite possibly the most chaotic, hectic, and interesting time in the NHL is this trade deadline, the week or two before the trade deadline. But when you take a team that had lost just game after game and was, like we said last week, the literal laughingstock of the NHL, having this U2 concert situation just drawn out on network television for everyone to see and laugh at, to then go and just 6-game win streak. Right?
Yeah.
And now you're back in a playoff position. I mean, let's be realistic.
But I just wanted to say this before we go. We have a little bit of breaking news when we come back.
Oh, this is exciting.
Some breaking news in the NHL trade deadline world.
Okay.
Some breaking news. We'll tell you about that when we come back.
All right. Well, before we go.
Yeah.
Preds fans, you ready for the face-off? Just like hockey, home buying is all about strategy and timing. Salas Realty Group knows this game well. They're the MVPs of Nashville real estate, getting you the win with every transaction. Find your champion property at salasrealtygroup.com. Salas Realty Group, the power play for your home search.
That is the case. I think if we're in the playoff spot, I owe that to our players. I owe that to our fans. Yeah, that's fairly accurate. Now, obviously, I'm going to leave a little window open. If there's some kind of crazy deal that comes out and knocks me on my chair, then I will definitely, I owe that to the fans as well and the organization. So I think the framework is there. We just got to make sure that, like I said, that the years and the numbers match. If they do, then we will probably do something. If we can't, then I'm in a position not to. I don't think I can let a guy like Tommy Nowak go for nothing. I don't think I've got to get something if he's not signed before the trade deadline.
That was Preds General Manager Barry Trotz talking about some trade deadline situations, and I think those comments will probably get some Smashvillians a little bit fired up. But before we get into that, Alex has some breaking trade news that he's going to give you all the details on.
So we just found this out while we were on the air during the last segment, but Frank Seravalli and others, of course, are reporting that Chris Tanev of the Calgary Flames is headed to the Dallas Stars, and the Flames are getting a second-round pick, a prospect, we don't know who that is yet, and an additional conditional pick. So, that's probably if Dallas makes it past the second round of the playoffs, then the fourth rounder becomes the third rounder, that kind of thing. But that just came down, so that's the first really major trade thing to come out. I mean, I don't think there have been any other ones involving NHL players in quite a while. So there you go. Chris Tanev going to the Dallas Stars for a second-round pick, a prospect, additional conditional pick. Chris Tanev, 34-year-old defenseman. He's in the last year of a $4 million a year contract. I think that's right. Maybe $6 million. And Dallas getting defensive depth. So I guess that's what they think they need. One of the things they need.
I guess so, and I'll be really honest with you here. Let's think about this. Does that seem like an overpay to you? I guess it depends on the prospect.
So I saw someone comment that they thought a first-round pick would be too much. So I guess
Agreed.
A second-round pick seems like okay, but then there's also a prospect in there. It kind of maybe depends on who that prospect is.
If it's somebody that's NHL ready, or if it's somebody who's, it just depends on how far away they are.
Remember that the Predators famously got Jeremy Lauzon for a second-round pick, and then signed him. But Jeremy Lauzon at the time was 23 or 24. He was young, and people thought that was an overpay. And Lauzon now seems to be a pretty good bet on that trade seems to have worked out somewhat. I would think. Go ahead.
I agree, and Nick Keyser has given us some more important information about this trade. The Flames are retaining 50% of Tanev's contract.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So that adds another layer. There's money that Dallas isn't going to have to pay that's going to help them out in the cap area as well.
That's not surprising. I mean, all the teams that are buying right now are cash strapped, so they are going to most of these teams that are going to sell these pieces are going to have to retain salary or figure out the money to work some other way. It's more about the selling off the asset, right?
Right.
So how does this affect the Preds? Well, we just heard from Barry Trotz, right? I mean, this is not a trade that you can really compare with anyone on the Nashville Predators right now. They're not looking to offload a cap heavy older defenseman, except for Tyson Barrie.
Correct.
But I don't think Tyson Barrie. Tyson Barrie is maybe the best comparison. I think that's probably the best comparison.
I think that's a fair comparison.
I don't think there's any way they get a second-round pick for Tyson Barrie.
I just feel like a lot of the drama that kind of surrounds Barrie now that you've had the situation that's happened, I think that just drives the value down a little bit.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, I don't know. You take out the fact that they're retaining 50% of the salary.
But that's what's going to have to happen for Barrie too.
True.
If anything, it's worse for Barrie because his contributions are not as big and his salary is just as bad. So
you could see a second rounder then, couldn't you? I mean, if you retain. And
I know we got to get to the Saros and the Novak stuff, but this is important because the trade deadline's a week away. It's really 9 days away, 8 days away, I guess. And this kind of move tends to start things.
The dominoes.
Yeah.
begin to fall.
Because you need something to sort of set the market. So if this is the market for a 34-year-old defenseman who really is not, he's a defensive, I mean, he's not an offensive juggernaut or anything.
Would you say he's a stay-at-home defenseman?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's that style.
Reliable.
Probably a penalty kill guy. And I mean, good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Chris Tanev. I think that's a good addition for Dallas. But if this is the price, the market could be pretty hot.
Market could be hot, and that really contributes to what we're talking about now, doesn't it?
A good seller's market, yeah.
It's
for
a
sure.
good seller's market, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, let's kind of break this thing down let's have a little bit of Tommy time right now. I mean, is that okay?
Yeah.
He is discussing Tommy Novak, and
you want to touch Tommy time or Soros slather? Is that the right word?
Are we making ribs? What are we doing? I don't know what's happening.
Let's talk about Tommy Novak.
Let's do this. Let's talk about Tommy time, and we'll come up with something else that starts with S.
Okay.
Okay. Does that sound good?
So what did Trotz really say about Tommy Novak?
Well, that's kind of the question, right? Is like, what is he really saying? He's saying, look, I'm not going to give this guy away I'm not going to let him go for nothing. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I don't want to let him walk at the end of the season, right? I don't want him to go to free agency,
right?
But I'm also, I like what he has. I like what he brings to the team. I think he has things that other players don't.
Right.
He adds a lot. I want to keep him. That's what I'm hearing.
Right. That is what I'm hearing as well. To me, it sounds like when I heard that conversation they had yesterday, this was Barry Trotz from his time on this Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. What I heard was a guy, Barry Trotz, basically communicating that Novak's price is too high.
Yeah.
That Novak's camp is entirely too high. Either
we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
And we're hearing $4 million a year. Correct?
Yeah, and I think that is too high. But I think Barry is basically saying, if you're not going to back down from your number, we'll trade you.
Yeah.
And then you'll see that your number's too high, because when you go to the market or try to get that team to pay that, or if you try to go to the just a UFA on the UFA market, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get.
Well, you got to think too,
because he threw in that thing at the end about we'll revisit if you don't get signed, and we'll come back. You can come back to Nashville.
Yeah. I think it's interesting though, Alex, and this is what kind of. If you look at the situation that Novak has with the Predators, he's playing. He's playing with some decent line mates. He's getting good solid minutes. If he's going to another team, right? If you got somebody who's in a playoff situation, they want to make a run. Mm-hmm. Are they adding him as a top 6 forward? Or
no, I don't think so.
At middle 6, right?
So correct. And really third line. So I would say. So
I was being generous with middle 6.
Okay, yeah. I would say he's definitely going to be. So I wrote about this today for Tennessee, and you should go check it out. It was really like here's the realistic look at where Tommy Novak could probably land, and to me, the number one option is New York, the Rangers. I think he would fit perfectly behind. Their top centers are Vincent Trocheck, Mika Zibanejad. After that, it gets pretty thin.
Yeah.
Ryan McLeod is a good young player, but Novak is a better offensive player right now than he is. If they wanted to upgrade their third line offense, put him in there with Kaapo Kakko, maybe even Dylan Holloway. I mean, there's a lot of not Dylan Holloway. Who am I thinking of? Name will come to me. But put him on the third line, especially with someone like Kaapo Kakko. Get him someone that can score. That line could be really good. I think New York Rangers would be a great option, but it would not be as a top 6 player.
Well, and that's the thing, is you get to that situation, not in the top 6, you're coming into a situation where you want a new contract. You want to be in a place where you can have the most impact. You can score the most goals, get some power play time, and just have a chance to really produce. So you do show that you're worth the $4 million a year that you want.
Yeah.
Are you going to get that going and playing on the third line?
Right.
I don't know.
I think he would probably command more like $3 million if he was in a place like New York. He probably would want more. But I don't know. Here's the problem. Like, Tommy Novak had a contract that was so undervalued.
Yeah.
$800,000 for what he contributed, and signing that in the middle of that was pretty astonishing last year because he was having that breakout year and then still signed basically a league minimum year extension.
Yeah.
And now he wants like 4 times that. Is pretty crazy. So I don't know. We'll see if that really even happens, but
It's a big jump.
yeah, it's a big jump.
But if you're going into a situation like you said, you feel like maybe this is a ridiculously undervalued contract. Maybe there's a little bit of, okay, I got undervalued before. I'm not going to let it happen again. Let me shoot higher. If that 4 million number gets out there, if I hit the 3 million, 3.5 million range, then now I feel like I'm not just getting what I deserve, but maybe getting a little bit back of what I feel like I let go of or left on the table
Exactly.
with the last contract. And I don't think you can really blame him. I mean, again, he's not 22 years old.
Yeah, but again, we talked about it the last time that the time everything gets scrunched together when you're this old as he is as a prospect and just now becoming a UFA, you don't have a lot of leg room in terms of maybe I can squeeze out 1 or 2 more. He's got to try to go get his contract now because this might be his last
biggest
chance.
contract he can get.
Yeah.
It's that age where he's got to do that. Well, we will talk about UC Saros when we get back. We're going to spend the break figuring out a letter that starts or a word that starts with the letter S that fits, and hopefully you'll see our results when we come back. But before we go, as we look ahead to the next Predator Showdown, it's the perfect time to plan your future in Nashville. Salas Realty Group is ready to assist, ensuring your real estate goals are met with the determination of a playoff chase. Visit salasrealtygroup.com and let's start mapping out your game plan. Salas Realty Group, where every closing is a championship victory. Welcome back to Penalty Box Radio Live. This segment of Penalty Box Radio Live is brought to you by the Music City Marauders. The Music City Marauders are proud to present their Spring Skills Camp for your youth hockey players. This is a great 6-week opportunity to help get your player ready for your spring tryout season. There are a few spots left, but hurry before they're gone. Head over to www.musiccitymarauders.com to sign up or get on the wait list. Alex.
Yes.
We talked a lot about Tommy. We had Tommy time. We had Tommy talk, and now it's time for UC Yammer.
Sorrow speak.
Sorrow speak just seemed too succinct.
Okay, that's fine.
I wanted something that brought an air of mystery and nonsense.
Can I point out one thing that he said at the beginning of that clip? This
Please.
is from the Trotz thing that we listened to last segment.
Yes.
So, and this is I think you have to consider what Barry Trotz is trying to do this year. I know that there's long-term goals. I know that there's there's priorities long and short term. But he said in there, I owe it to our fans to make the playoffs. He has, and he, in addition to the thing recently with the reason he canceled the U2 trip was because of they weren't doing right by their fans. I think Trotz is coming into this first year and saying, I need to regain this fan base. And
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were content to just let the team circle the drain in order to get a better draft pick, then by all means, they're going and watching Bono, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. But and as it relates to Soros, that's why he told Frank Saravalli and has said, or I'm sorry, Pierre LeBrun. Sorry, was that? Yeah, it was Pierre LeBrun.
He's been talking to a lot of people.
Been talking to a lot of people, but that's why he told them, if we're in a playoff position, I'm not trading Soros. I think it matches with his whole demeanor since the beginning of the season. Now, at the beginning of the season, he was talking about signing Soros to a long-term deal. I think he's backed off of that a little bit.
Right.
I think he understands that maybe locking himself into that isn't the best idea. But I think that it makes sense to want to go into the playoffs because this team didn't make the playoffs last year, and there's implications there. I mean, what happens? Well, I'll let you respond to that. But yeah, I think it's all about he wants to get this fan base hyped up about this team again. That's his kind of one of his big priorities.
I'll say this. I think there's a lot of truth to what you said, right? I'm not going to say that, well, you've hit the nail on the head. I think there's a lot of truth there. I think there's a very loud minority of Preds fans who follow the team with a very, like, we're analyzing everything that happens. We're looking at every single thing, every move, what it means for the future. But I think that's a very small minority. I just think they have a very loud voice.
Yeah.
And I think most of your Preds fans, they want to see the team win.
Correct. And I don't think most fans, most people who follow this team are not going to, in 4 years, care that the team didn't capitalize on an asset that they could have traded the deadline. They just aren't. Like, people do not care about that.
No.
I mean,
I think people grossly overestimate the number of Preds fans out there that are thinking about that right
so let me I want to read something to you right now. And this relates to the Soros stuff. And I'm pulling this from an old article about a different trade situation involving a different player. And I'm going to redact some names here and just give you an idea of what this is. So this is a recap of like a trade situation. Basically.
Are the Preds involved?
Tangentially.
How long ago are we talking about?
Within the last 10 years.
Okay.
So some people thought that this particular GM was waiting too long to trade this player. That didn't deter the front office's patience. Plenty of teams reached out to this team by the deadline, but the trade deadline came and went. So did the draft over the summer. So did training camp. The player's agent believed his client would have been traded by the beginning of that season, but he wasn't. He started with that team and everything. We weren't in any rush to trade, player, the GM said in an interview. We wanted to make sure that when we were going to move him, it was the right fit for the franchise. This is about the Duchesne trade with Colorado Avalanche in 2017.
Okay.
One of the most famous trades, mostly because of Joe Sakic waiting for so long and it paying off in handsomely because
Sure.
they got so much in that trade. Now, the trade kind of is viewed in weirdly because like not all basically they only one piece is really playing still, but they got draft picks in there, I know. But so the only reason I bring that up, it's not a 1-to-1 comparison because the Duchesne situation was much different. He was he demanded a trade out, and so that was different. But it is similar in that it doesn't mean that if you don't trade UC Saros, and this is what I've heard a lot.
Right.
People have been saying if you don't trade UC Saros by this deadline, his price goes down.
Right.
Okay, well, it could.
Sure.
It could go down. It could also go up because what if they make the playoffs and then UC Saros has some crazy run, and then the price is probably about the same, if not higher.
I mean, that's happened before where UC Saros goes on a crazy run late in the season, right? Haven't we always talked about him being a perennially slow starter?
Exactly. And then you've got a situation where you've got a 1 year left on this goalie who, number one, you've got more teams involved in the trade conversation because more teams would want that goalie.
Right.
Not just ones that are competing this year. You've also got more teams that have an alleviated cap situation with the cap going up.
Right.
Maybe ones that are able to because it's the summer, they can maybe do more moves and get rid of some of their contracts in other ways. I think the price goes up. I don't think I'm crazy either. I think it is certainly high now. Well, it is certainly at a certain level now, but I think there's a very reasonable thought that it could be just as high in the summer if he waits.
I agree. I mean, if not higher, and I think the thing that you're looking at, like I said, Barry Trotz is being coy with the media. Here's where I think he's being coy. I think what you're seeing is, look, he's saying, look, I'm allegiant to the fans here, right? I'm loyal to the fans. I want to do right by the fans. Fans want playoffs. I've already said I think most fans want playoffs regardless of trading or not trading UC Saros, correct?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Bearing all of that in mind, okay, just bear all that in mind. When you say that you're not selling something, I'm not selling this goalie when we're in the playoffs. Well, that also raises the price because he said with Novak they're keeping the phone lines open, right?
Okay, I hear this argument. I think people think it's like some Trotz is at the poker table and he's like bluffing. He's got a 7-3 offsuit and he's just holding nothing and he's like bluff master over here with the sunglasses. Phil Hellmuth clacking his World Series of Poker bracelets on the table and being like, I'm gonna bluff and I'm gonna beat you at this game. It's not like that. It's not a poker game. Like I think Trotz has to deal in reality, and he has to deal with the fact that these are real transactions that affect a $500 million organization.
Alex, I'm just gonna say, we're gonna take a little pause here.
Yeah.
I've been through all of this with you, and we've talked. Whenever I bring up something like wrestling, which I feel like is a widely accepted sport that a lot of people follow fervently and passionately, you're like, I don't know anything about wrestling, and here you go unloading on me the World Series of Poker references.
I just told you everything I know about the World Series of Poker. Those are the 3 facts I know. Phil Hellmuth.
Did you have this written out, or you just have it ready to go? Like, I feel like if you want to talk about the Junkyard Dog, we can do that.
Yeah.
But I have nothing on World Series of Poker. Anyway, back to the Preds. Here, this blows my mind. Okay, it's not a bluff, but am I wrong? Does it not raise that price up? Because if one of these teams thinks like all we need, we will win the Stanley Cup if we have UC Saros. And they offer the right thing. Hey, look, we're willing to give you this game-changing, play-making, young center. And I think they take it.
Oh yeah, I think that they would if they got the right offer. Yeah, I think they would make it. I think just like Joe Sakic told this reporter, like if the I forgot now, I've lost the quote, but if the deal was right for the franchise, we'd make it. But I don't think that this game in the media where he's saying, okay, well, we'll just keep him. I really don't think that he's doing that. I just don't think it would work. I think it's pretty insulting to the other GMs that they're going to be like, they're not just like, Scooby-Doo villains that can be exposed. It's like these are also smart people. Some of these general managers are very good at what they do. Some of them are not, but A lot of them are pretty good, and they understand like cost and negotiation and leverage and everything.
So that makes several shows in a row where Scooby Doo's been brought up.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. I don't know, but here's the thing. Look, Alex. No, is it insulting to other GMs? Sure, but have you not seen the media kind of get leveraged in these situations here recently?
Usually involving like player agent negotiations. I just don't think that really works on GMs. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily. I don't think the intention is like, yep, we're gonna say this, and this is gonna be the words I use.
Like it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. What if you just came out and said, okay, Luke Evangelista not on the table? Well, I don't even know if GMs are interested in him right now.
But we know people are interested in Saros.
Yeah, but do you think that they would be less interested just because he said, I don't know if I'm going to trade him?
I just think it might plant a seed in their mind that the price is going to be higher.
It feels very like high school. Does he like me?
I work in a high school, Alex.
Does he? Can you find out if he I don't know if he likes me or not. Can you find out if he likes me? Ask him to text me and see what he says. That's what it feels like.
They don't even pass notes anymore. It's just text messaging, isn't it?
Get his Snapchat and see if he can,
Back in the late 1900s.
This feels like yesterday to me.
Well, buddy,
That's what it feels like. It feels like high school drama where two people are like, just go talk to the person, okay? Just find out if they actually are interested. We don't need to do this game. I don't play games.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know. This is all revolving around the game of hockey, so I think there's a solid chance that there could be some gamesmanship going on. Look, you got a special guest appearance there from our producer, Connor. Really excited to hear him chime in. Always love it when he talks to us. But look, coming up, really excited. We've got a new sponsor joining the show for our 3-on-3 draft. I gave a little tease about it earlier. When we get back, you'll hear all about them. But before we go, another great sponsor, Salas Realty Group. Show's almost over, but your real estate journey is just beginning. With Salas Realty Group, you're always on the winning team. Their dedication to clients is as relentless as the Preds on a power play. Lace up for your real estate play at salasrealtygroup.com. Salas Realty Group, where every deal is a hat trick. Welcome back to Penalty Box Radio Live. Folks, listen, I'm very excited to talk to you about this. We're going to introduce our newest sponsor. This is the sponsor for our 3-on-3 draft, which you may have heard me mention earlier is going to be known as the Main Event 3-on-3 draft. That's right. Our new sponsor is Main Event of Murfreesboro. They just opened their newest location in Murfreesboro, and let me tell you, Alex, it's worth the drive. They've got everything you need to have a good time. Bowling, billiards, laser tag, a full menu, a full-service bar, and a whole lot of games. This brand-new facility has plenty of room for your family, team, or corporate event. Ask about the Penalty Box Radio special when signing up for a year-end sports party or other event for some extra fun on us. Head over to mainevent.com for more information today. Alex.
Yes.
This is also exciting news for us because next week we know the trade deadline is Friday. And our show, we're going to have a special trade deadline day spectacular. We will be live on the air Friday, March 8th at 7 o'clock. Just, Alex, a few hours after the trade deadline closes, we'll break down all the moves Barry Trotz makes or doesn't make and what it means for the team moving forward between now and then. Coming up this week, Preds have, I guess coming up this week and part of next week before our next show, which is on Friday next week. They're playing tomorrow versus the Wild at home, Sunday versus Colorado, also at home, Tuesday against Montreal, also at home, and Thursday versus Buffalo, also at home. The home stretch there. Going to be pretty interesting to see. The Preds were able to put together a home win against Ottawa last night.
Yep.
And, they've shown that they can win on the road. That was something, I don't know that there's really been a question about that for this team this season, that whether or not they can win on the road. But they've been able to win on the road. They just went on the best road trip they've ever been on, winning all 5 of their games. Mm-hmm. And then they came home, followed up with a win at home. Even after yesterday, they won. It was a home game. But this season, winning at home's been an issue. Did you know the Preds are currently tied for the 4th worst home record?
I did not. That's a lot.
In the NHL. 4th worst.
15 losses.
15 losses at home. And do you know who number 1 is with the most home losses?
Who is that?
It's Anaheim.
That's not surprising.
20 losses at home. Now, but I'm making a point here, and I keep telling me how surprising this is. Because, look, second place, 17 home losses, San Jose. Are you surprised?
No, not really.
Are you shocked? No. Okay, look. Next, you've got a two-way tie for third between Montreal and Buffalo. Mm-hmm. Are you surprised?
Maybe a tad. I thought Buffalo would be better, but
then look at who Nashville's keeping company with here in 4th place. 4-way tie for 4th place, 15 home losses. Columbus, Chicago, and New Jersey.
Yeah.
That you don't want to be a part of that group with Chicago. That's
That's
not what you want to see, right?
New Jersey surprises me too.
New Jersey's surprising, and I think that's the question is, look, are the Preds one of the teams that are going to be in this position now, and that will be surprising at the end of the season when they're making a deep run in the playoffs? Mm-hmm. Or are they going to be a team that when people look back, they're going to go, well, when you saw that they've lost half of their home games, 30 home games into the season, that should have been a sign because, Alex, roughly half of your playoff games are going to be at home.
Most of those teams are not very good. And it's definitely debatable how good Nashville is. They're probably not a very good team. They've had some moments where they look good and moments where they don't look good. So, they're on a heater right now, but maybe there's more home wins coming. Right? They got their first one in a while Tuesday, and then they get another chance tomorrow against the Minnesota Wild.
And then they've got 3 more chances before they go on the road again. But, folks, it's about that time for us to get into the main event, 3-on-3 draft. Very, very excited about this. Alex, today's topic, today's draft item, arcade games.
Sweet.
A little bit in honor of our new sponsor, Main Event of Murfreesboro.
And we're talking upright arcade games. We're not talking about just video games.
Yeah,
but
we're not. This is you're going
to the
arcade.
Things that you have to pump quarters into.
You're pumping a quarter in there, and you're getting after it.
Okay. So who goes first? I already have mine.
I believe you went first last time.
All right, go.
I don't know if I'm right about that or not.
I think that's right.
Okay. If I'm wrong, it's okay. All right, look, I'm going with. There are classic games out there that I was thinking about, and again, look, I haven't been spending a lot of time in arcades recently. I'm not, a child of the 2000s. But here's the thing. I'm going to go with what I think is going to be the difference maker in this draft. I'm going to take it off the board early, and that's NBA Jam.
Okay, all right. I actually don't have any sports games on mine.
Womp womp.
Ooh.
I don't. I really don't.
Okay, it's not too
Maybe I
late
should
to change course.
I should reconsider that.
Ooh.
All right, NBA Jam's a good one. My number one is going to be Mortal Kombat.
Ooh.
That's a good
The
choice.
original Mortal Kombat. Simple, bloody, and just so much fun. Because, I mean, I
just
could
described hockey.
I could play I could play Mortal Kombat all day. I mean, when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I would go to the mall and bring a lot of quarters and play that. So
No, I don't have a problem with Mortal Kombat. I will say that it's not on my board.
okay.
But you got very close to what I'm really excited to choose second in the draft. And I probably poured more quarters into this machine than about any other machine except for one, which I bet will still be on the board next. But I'm going to go with Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, Street Fighter was on mine. Yeah,
Street Fighter 2 for
specifically
me.
Street Fighter 2, though, right?
Yeah, well, not Street Fighter 1. Nobody even remembers that game.
Yeah, Street Fighter 1 was kind of came and went.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 was like, I didn't even know what
Yeah.
Street Fighter was when 2 came out, but I knew that I liked it, and I knew that I wanted to play more.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 is a good one.
Yeah.
My second pick is I don't know if every arcade had this one, but I remember just everyone was obsessed with this game, and for some reason it was a lot of fun. The Simpsons game.
Oh, it was.
The Simpsons arcade game was addicting. It was so cool, and I always wanted to be Bart because he had the skateboard, but then Lisa was good too, and Homer. I mean, it was just this side-scrolling thing where everyone could contribute and play together. It was just awesome.
You could have 4 players at a
Yeah,
time. You
4
could
players
play
at a time. That's a classic arcade game.
Every walking member of the nuclear family there.
Yeah.
Do you remember what Marge's weapon was?
Was it her hair?
It was she could use her hair. I think she also had a vacuum, didn't she?
Oh, yeah, she did, yeah.
She did use her hair. I always thought that was really cool.
I actually don't remember what Lisa's was.
Saxophone.
Saxophone,
I
yeah.
think it was
that
a
makes sense.
saxophone. That was a fun game. Really is very, very close similarities between that game and the game I'm going to go with. Probably, I know. I actually beat this game in an arcade, and I spent like poundage of quarters. Like I don't even it was a lot, but I played all the way through it. Also a 4-player game. You got to use all the main characters. Very similar to the Simpsons game. It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was definitely a very
Love
good
that
one.
one.
Very similar vibes,
Yeah.
like kind of all together, playing together.
Agree.
I'm gonna go. My last one. I'm gonna go with Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct.
Another fighting game.
Yeah, another fighting game. Fighting games are fun. Arcade games. They really
They're
are.
fun.
I thought about Tekken. You
Yeah, I
remember
remember that one.
Tekken was cool because it had this sort of 3D, like the camera kind of rotated around, which was different.
It was innovative, I think.
Yeah, Killer Instinct though, because Killer Instinct, it really brought in a very classic arcade element of like just random combos that just you could blow guys out of the water. So that was a fun game.
All right, so let's review my choices: NBA Jam, Street Fighter 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Alex,
Mortal Kombat, Simpsons game, Killer Instinct.
Connor, what do we got?
Man, NBA Jam is probably my favorite. I didn't have the arcade games like you guys did, but no Tecmo Bowl? Come on now. I played you Punch Out, no Punch Out.
I don't know why sports games did not come to my mind.
Could you play Tecmo Bowl at the arcade?
Apparently.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I'll consult with the other olds.
The other holds.
Yeah.
I also thought about NHL Hits or NFL Hits. Those are good games.
NHL Hits is good.
Like the NHL Open Ice.
Sorry, but yes,
was a good one.
continue. Who wins this?
Yeah,
round?
who
Sorry.
wins?
I'm gonna go Sean this time.
Yes.
Okay.
Just
Right,
because I wasn't. I mean,
NBA Jam is probably a big
NBA Jam kind of stole my heart. I love Mortal Kombat. I wasn't big on Killer Instinct.
You know, I had a I wasn't allowed to have Mortal Kombat as a kid, but I did.
Whoa.
I procured one and as like hid it in my clothes drawer, and I would only play it when my parents were gone.
Oh wow, that's
was
a
not
story
allowed.
for another time.
My
I
dad
like
might
that.
be hearing this right now. He
I
might
hope.
not even
Well,
realize
hopefully you're not going to get punished anyway. Thanks for listening to Penalty Box Radio Live, presented by Salis Realty Group. Salis Realty Group, your premier destination for Nashville, Tennessee real estate. Also, thanks to Truvo Sports Laundry, the Music City Marauders, and main event of Murfreesboro.